August 2023, the eastern coast of Spain. A woman checks into a hostel in Alicante with nothing but a backpack and a dream of seeing the world alone. She's 42, restless, the kind of person who talks to strangers on the road and turns them into friends by morning. She meets someone, an older man, a travel vlogger with a funny nickname and a camera always in his hand. He seems harmless, almost grandfatherly, the kind of guy who posts sunrise videos and talks about the beauty of the open road. They hike together, laugh together, post about their journey like it's the adventure of a lifetime. And then she vanishes. Her mother stops getting calls. Her dogs are left behind. Her phone goes dark. And then the man she trusted, he keeps posting, keeps traveling, keeps calling her family to check in on the search. For nearly a year, her body lies undiscovered in a field of dry brush and silence. And the only reason anyone finds her, a mother who refused to believe her daughter would ever just disappear. This is the story of Esther Estepa Perez and the man who used social media to hide in plain sight. Welcome back to Coffee and Crime with Mom. I'm Zaylee.
And I'm Nicole, Mom.
We got to do our coffee check. So for this episode, I went full Spanish summer vibes. I made us both an iced cafe con leche with a splash of vanilla and cinnamon on the top.
And it's delicious.
It feels weirdly appropriate, a case about a travel vlogger set against beaches and hostels and open road. It starts so warm and pretty and then it just curdles.
It's a good way to describe it. But this is really good. It's delicious. It's giving I'm solving crimes at a beachside cafe in Valencia. But honestly, just reading through this case before we recorded, it made my stomach hurt. The idea that someone could be posting happy travel videos while a woman he met is lying dead in a field. Then he called her mother. That he kept performing innocence while her family was breaking apart. He's a huge piece of trash.
Yes. Right? That's what gets me. It's not just that he killed her, it's that he kept the act going. The TikTok post, the concerned phone calls, that has anyone heard from Esther performance. He was burying her twice, once in the field and once under layers of digital lies.
And her mother knew from day one. Josepha knew those WhatsApp messages weren't from her daughter. A mother just knows. And she didn't wait for police to figure it out. She started digging herself. She found his TikTok. She watched his videos. She connected dots that investigators hadn't even looked at yet.
That's what I keep going back to. This case isn't just about a killer. It's about a mother who wouldn't let her daughter become a ghost, who refused to accept the easy story, and who fought for Esther when Esther couldn't fight for herself anymore, which is normal in our situations with the moms.
Right. So let's tell her story.
Esther Estepa Perez is 42 years old from Seville, Spain. She's got long dark hair, a bright smile, and a restless spirit. In 2013, she leaves her hometown to live a nomadic life, traveling across Spain, staying in hostels, women's shelters, making friends everywhere she goes. And that's a way to go. That's a life to live.
That is. It makes me totally anxious thinking about it.
Extremely anxious, but I mean, it also must, if you're a woman who can get into that life and be like free of having like earthly bounds or ties, and just like go live your life, that must be amazing. The freeing aspect of that.
And she's especially close to her mother, Josepha Peppa Perez. They talk every single day. Esther's the kind of daughter who calls just to say good morning, just to hear her mom's voice. And she loves her two dogs more than anything. Her mother always said Esther would never, ever abandon those dogs voluntarily.
In 2022, she leaves an abusive relationship. She throws herself into travel even harder. Solo hiking, hostel hopping, meeting strangers, and turning them into friends. She's trusting, maybe too trusting, but that's who she is. She sees the good in people, and I could not. For several reasons, okay? Solo hiking, Baby, my anxiety would be through the way I would be like,
So first of all, before we even get to the fact that I'm by myself, I'm not going into the woods. There's no point. There's nothing in there for me. They're woods. And I definitely don't want to hike. That I could feel the sweat, like the mist of sweat on my skin the whole time and the bugs just feeling like they're on me and then it's sweating
yeah,
down my
no,
no.
no. I would hike. I would definitely go do that. I would go in the woods. I'm here for the nature vibe. But the solo, no. Esther meets a man at a hostel in Alicante. He's 64 years old, bald, wiry, big ears, missing teeth, thick glasses. He introduces himself by a nickname, Dynamita Montia. He tells her he's a travel vlogger on TikTok. He shows her his videos. Him hiking, smiling, talking about the beauty of the open road. He seems harmless, almost grandfatherly. And I'm gonna tell you, y'all might not know because I don't know people names, but y'all know the dude who be doing the videos, right?
Mhm.
And he'd be like, "Hello, beautiful. I missed you. How are you doing today?" He missing the teeth and he normally be in the
Think I saw that.
yeah. He'd be like, "Hey, he can't sing." That is who this man made me think of.
Okay.
I'm gonna insert photo picture here on this screen, but that is what he made me think of when I saw him.
His real name is Jose Gerardo Mantilla, and his past, it's a horror show.
Jose Gerardo Montia was born in Badajoz, Spain, but his real legacy was forged in Malaga between 1985 and 1987. Over those 2 years, he murdered 4 people.
4. This is crazy. Let me name them. Francisco Gonzalez, 57. He was shot at a farmhouse. Antonio Panigua, 46. Shot in two tourists near El Chorro. One British, one German, shot and stabbed. A spree of violence that earned him the nickname Dynamita and a prison sentence of 123 years.
And the crazy part is that when he introduced himself to Esther, he said his name was Dynamita Montia. So he's going by that
Right. The
nickname.
name he gained for being a serial killer.
Okay, and here was the hook for me because when I heard that he had only served 28 years
Of
out of his
123.
123 years and then was released in December of 2013 and wasn't paroled or like kept up with at all. They just released him.
Released him.
Why? Because the European Court of Human Rights overturned Spain's Parrot Doctrine, which was a law that had kept Spain's worst criminals behind bars longer. So Mattia got to walk out as a free man at the age of 54. Okay. But I don't even understand why you would overturn that.
Or why overturning that law means that you don't look at the cases, you don't review the
Yeah,
cases before you
why
let
he
them
didn't
out.
get to serve more. And what does he do?
He gets a smartphone, he downloads TikTok, and he starts posting travel videos under the name Dynamita Matia, the same nickname he earned as a killer. He's got about 6,000 followers. He posts heartfelt videos about hiking, nature, the simple joys of the road. He presents himself as this lovable, adventurous old man, a harmless grandpa living his best life.
He really does. And that was super chilling, right? Because he's documenting everything while he's traveling, and not just the traveling, but the proximity to his victims and using TikTok to establish himself as somebody who's supposed to be trustworthy or someone you can feel safe meeting on the road. And he really portrays that like very well in his videos if you watch it. I mean, if you listen to the shit he says
Yeah,
some weird ass shit.
he
But
does.
his demeanor and like how he acts is very like, oh, ha ha ha, like very, So yeah, but it worked, and then it obviously worked on Esther Estepa because they did become close for a while.
Yeah, right. And the documentary director Hector Miniet described watching Mantilla's videos as seeing psychopathy unfold in real time because he can switch from warm and engaging to cold and detached in the span of a single clip. One minute he's smiling at a sunset, the next he's staring into the camera with these dead eyes
It had to have been extremely creepy to have to watch all of
all
that
over there.
stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So August 2023, Esther and Montia meet in Alicante and decide to go hiking together along Spain's eastern coast toward Gandia. They are staying in hostels, walking the trails, posting about their journey. To anyone watching, it looks like two solo travelers who found a beautiful travel friendship. And the way they described it was that that's how it started. Was they really like hit it off and they were close.
Mhm. Yes, but here's where the timeline gets dark. On August 20th, they reach Gandia, then try to find a hostel room. They cannot. 2 days later, on August 22nd, Montia calls emergency services because Esther has a swollen leg and a severe headache. She is taken to the hospital, treated, and discharged at 4:30 in the morning.
And after that, silence, right? Because Esther stopped calling her mom and she left her dogs behind and her phone just goes dark. But Montia is still making videos like he's just getting started with this shenanigans.
And on August 23rd, the day after Esther's hospital discharge, her mother, Josepha, receives WhatsApp messages from Esther's phone, but they do not sound like Esther. The messages say she is broke, living on the street in Buenos Aires, starting a new life in Argentina. The tone is wrong. The phrasing is wrong. Josepha knows immediately this is not her daughter.
And she is right because Esther was already dead. Montia had killed her and dumped her body in a remote field near Gandia. And then he is using her phone to try to throw her family off track because he knew that Esther and her mother spoke every day. And he is trying to
Mhm.
make them think that she just ran away to South America.
Right. But Josepha, she doesn't buy this story for a second. And on August 20th, she reports Esther and on August 26th, she reports Esther missing and she starts her own investigation because the police are not moving fast enough for a mother's broken.
They never do. But Peppa is not the kind of mother who waits. While police file reports, she starts digging. She finds Montia's TikTok account. She watches his videos and she realizes this man was with her daughter. His posts document their time together and he does not hide it. He didn't delete any of these videos or take them down. He literally posted the evidence of their travels together on TikTok.
That's crazy. But here's what really breaks your heart. Mantia starts calling Josepha multiple times. He calls to check in on how the investigation is going. He acts concerned. He asks if they have heard from Esther. He plays the worried travel companion, the innocent bystander, the helpful witness.
And the crazy part is that she said he started calling her just randomly. She just randomly got a number from an unknown number and it when she answered, he asked if it was her by name.
Wow.
And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is this Esther's mom? Basically, I'm her friend. We were traveling together. I saw that she was missing." And so I just wanted to reach out and I'll tell you about our time together and see if there was any information about the investigation and that I want to try to help
I know at one
basically.
point he was like, I'm going to go to all the places that we traveled together and show her picture. I mean, it just shows you how sick this man is in the head.
Yes.
That
So
he not
he
only
did.
killed and dismembered her, but then he keeps calling her mom. And I understand trying to kind of keep them, off the trail. But it gets to the point where they're discussing that, her mom is telling him she wouldn't disappear. She wouldn't do this. So he's enjoying, it's like he's feeding off of his mother's grief.
Yeah. But yeah, he really is. And the fact that he was like, I'm going to do my part in helping and I've been asking people about her and I'm going to go ahead and I think it was what, like a 2-week trip or something, he said. So I'm gonna go back and he's walking everywhere. I'm gonna take this 2-week trip and retrace the whole trip that me and Esther did. And he did it. He's retracing their journey and posting videos from all the locations they visited together, publicly begging for Esther's safe return and, like, describing how what they did in these places and how beautiful she was as a person in the relationship and what she meant to him. And in one of the videos, he's like crying, "We just come back home to me," and all. It was extremely insane, and the audacity is staggering because he is performing grief for a woman he murdered
Right.
for weeks.
But luckily, Josepha was not fooled. She keeps pushing. She keeps telling police, look at this man. Look at his videos. Look at his posts and his past. But Mantia has done this before. He knows how to hide in plain sight. He knows how to play the harmless old man.
And if you let me out after 28 years out of a 123-year sentence, I don't think that I would be too worried about going back. So I'm just,
No, don't
and
worry
I'm
about
not
it.
buckled down to nothing. So it's bewildering is what it is. But for months, Esther's body lies undiscovered in that field near Gandia. And like you were saying, that her mom kept asking for them to, look into the guy. And so, they weren't really like, we're going to look into him, but we don't really have too much to go on to. So you
Mhm.
need to keep answering his phone calls and you need to keep whatever. So, well, that's what the mom gathered because she was like, they're not doing nothing. So I know it was him. So now I have to keep watching the phone, watching the TikTok videos and answering his phone calls. And she was like, it was just heartbreaking to know that I knew this was the person who did it to my daughter, but I have to answer the calls so that, I can still keep I cannot
That takes real
imagine.
strength.
I cannot imagine it. Yeah. In the area that, and Montia just keeps traveling. He keeps posting, keeps living his life like nothing happening, retracing this 2-week trip.
And in February of 2024, hikers that are walking near Gandia, close to Barron Castle and a canal junction, it's a secluded spot, dry brush. There's a lot of thick vegetation, scattered debris, and they find something that stops them cold.
A skull, partial remains. Human. The hikers call police and a search begins, but it's not until June 2024, which was 4 months later, that additional remains are found in the same location. And DNA testing confirms what Josefa, that's what you been saying? Josefa already knew in her bones.
It is Esther. Her body has been in that field for nearly a year, exposed to the elements and the location. It is exactly the kind of remote, overgrown area a killer would choose to hide a body.
Here's the thing. He made the trip and he went back to Gandia. He recorded a video saying, this is where we were at. This is where we slept. This is all of that. So he had a chance to go back and see her body because remember, he made it there before the police found her. Insane. So the autopsy was even worse. It reveals horror. Esther died from blunt force trauma to the head, and she had been sexually assaulted while she was still alive. And the way she was left was naked and discarded in the brush. It mirrors the dehumanization Matia showed his victims in the 80s.
But here's where Esther becomes the hero of her own story because she fought back hard and she left something behind that would eventually destroy her killer.
So while police are still processing Esther's remains, another case is breaking. In May 2024, Montia is arrested in a bar near the Portuguese border in Extremadura. The charge? The 2022 murder of a 21-year-old student named David. He was shot to death on a family farm in Malaga.
Police had been hunting David's killer for 2 years. They had DNA from the crime scene on David's backpack, an unidentified genetic profile, but it didn't match anyone in the database, so they did something extraordinary. They launched a massive family tree DNA search, going through church baptismal records back to 1873, building genealogical trees looking for a familiar match.
That's a way to do
That's
it.
a way to do it.
And they found what they were looking for. The DNA led them to Montia. But here's the kicker. They also tracked him through his TikTok posts. His own travel videos placed him in locations connected to the investigation. The platform he used to build his innocent persona became the tool that located him.
And when they arrested him, he is sitting in a bar like any other old man having a drink. They take him into custody and the real investigation begins.
And he was recording when they arrested him.
Of course,
He was recording. Police seize his phone, and and what they find is devastating. Photos and videos of a naked woman's body in a sleeping bag dumped in a remote field. The images do not show Montia's face. He is careful about that. But the geolocation data, the timestamps, the terrain itself, all place him there with Esther's body.
he had photographed his own crime, documented his victim, and kept the evidence in his phone for months while he called her mother and pretended to care.
So, how do police connect Montia definitively to Esther's murder? Three critical pieces of evidence.
First, the phone. Those photos and videos on Atia's device show Esther's body in the field. The metadata places him at the scene. The content proves he was there. He saw her dead and he documented it like a trophy.
And that just goes to show you how comfortable he was with like the life that he was living after getting out of prison because he just had all of this on his phone. He wasn't worried about it.
Right. And he picked a lifestyle where he was moving from place to place.
He even made a video. One of his TikTok videos said, I have to go through and get rid of some of these videos and photos on my phone. I have some of the craziest stuff on here is what he said or something along the lines like that. The second thing was the TikTok timeline, obviously. His posts show him with Esther after he claimed that they had separated because he said that they just went their separate ways once they got to Gandia.
Mm-hmm.
They showed him in locations he only knew because he was with her. His own social media contradicts his story.
It's perfect. Third, most damning evidence of all. Remember how I said Esther fought back? Under her fingernails, forensic teams found DNA. Somal STR testing directly matches Jose Gerardo Mantilla. The likelihood ratio, astronomical. This is not a familial match or a partial hit. This is her killer's DNA, scraped from his skin as she clawed at him in her final moments. Santia is charged with two murders, David's in 2022 and Esther's in 2023. He sits in pretrial detention by bail while prosecutors build their case.
And I don't really know the background story. I don't remember the David background story as to why he got shot on the farm. I think what they were saying was that they think that he was probably sleeping there, like without asking somewhere on the farm. And David came out to say something and he got shot and he just left. And that's how that happened. But yeah, he was just out here doing whatever the hell he wanted to do, literally.
Mhm.
So this is where his past comes back to destroy him, right? The 1980s murders, the 123-year sentence, the 28 years served, which he should have never been released regardless to what happened. All of that becomes context for who he is, not a reformed man, obviously, and definitely not a harmless grandfather, but a serial killer who never stopped being dangerous. He literally only stopped killing because he was in prison.
And then they let him out of prison. What did they think he was going to do?
We don't know what he did while he was in prison.
Right. And we don't necessarily know that these are the only two people, right?
No, they don't know. They don't know.
They don't know.
Well, so that's what they were saying. They were trying to say that it was just these two because when they went through the phone, all of the locations that like where he started documented, the first place he went when he got out of prison was to one of the places where he had killed the original four people. And
Mhm.
that's where he started his travels was backtracking, going to see those locations where he killed the four people.
That doesn't mean he didn't kill someone there.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They're saying because that's where they saw where he traveled. I guess it was only these people or those people, the people the murders were the only locations that appeared in the phone. So you're right. It doesn't mean that he didn't kill other people, but I think that's why they're saying it is because that's all that they found connected to the phone.
And on June 10th, 2026, a Spanish court convicts Jose Gerardo Mantilla of David's murder and sentences him to 24 years in prison. The maximum for murder in Spain is 30 years, but 24 ensures he will die behind bars. He is now in his mid-60s. He will not see freedom again, we hope.
The crazy part is I'm wondering why is 30 years a max for murder? when they
because in
do
some
offer life
countries,
imprisonment.
I don't know, maybe I don't know how, because we can't assume that like murder is the same, means the same thing there, like manslaughter, murder, we have capital murder, things like that. So it's how they define it. I guess there could be something higher that we just don't know about. Like maybe what we call capital murder, like there has to be some other crime involved in them.
Like
Or
a
you say
step
you were doing a bank robbery and you killed somebody. That's
mhm.
like capital murder because it's in the process of a crime. I don't know for sure. That's all I could guess.
Okay, got you. But the trial for Esther's murder is still pending as of this recording. But with the DNA, the phone evidence, the TikTok timeline, and his own photographs, prosecutors are confident this man murdered at least 6 people across 4 decades. And this time, the system will not let him walk again because they shouldn't have let him walk the first time. But everybody's justice system
It's different.
makes mistakes. So
Yeah. So we need to talk about the people who lived this nightmare because they are not just footnotes.
right. So Peppa lost her daughter, but she also became her daughter's advocate. She refused to believe Esther abandoned her. She refused to accept the fake WhatsApp messages. I don't know why people feel like that works.
Right.
Like,
No,
even if it's somebody's like, yeah, I don't have this super close relationship to my people, but you're still my people. Like, I know you.
right. And I know how you talk.
But Peppa found Montia's TikTok. She pushed police when they moved too slowly, and she is the reason the case stayed alive. And the other families, the families of his 1980s victims, they had to watch him walk free in 2013. They had to watch him become an internet personality. They had to wonder if he would kill again, and he did. This case raises terrifying questions about social media and predators, which they're everywhere and we know about it. But because Montia did not use TikTok, he weaponized it,
He built a persona that was specifically designed to disarm the friendly grandpa, the adventure seeking old man, the harmless travel companion. He knew what solo female travelers might be cautious around younger men, but a 64-year-old man with, okay, but a 64-year-old with a hiking stick and a TikTok account, this is someone you would help, someone you would trust.
and he documented everything: his proximity to victims, his travels, his concern for Esther after she disappeared. He used the platform to establish alibis, to perform innocence, to manipulate grieving families. And he called Esther's mother while her body was decomposing in a field that he had already photographed, and went back, okay, and went to go revisit all of his sites. The whole trip from the time he got out of prison was him going back down memory lane.
And the scariest part, if Esther had not fought back, if she had not left his DNA under her fingernails, if her mother had not pushed so hard, Montia might still be posting, still traveling, still meeting solo female travelers who do not know that Dynamita is not just a cute nickname. It is the signature of a serial.
Which is terrifying, you guys. And I just want to note the fingernails, the DNA under the fingernails. I think that was something that was said in the documentary. I'm not 1,000% sure if that is the only thing that got him caught for the Esther situation. If that's just why, just the DNA under the nails, because I think it was something else, but I cannot remember off the top of my head to tell you guys. But I just want to put that out there. So for
Right, for
clarification.
being as
Yeah.
transparent as possible. And Zay, I've been thinking about what this story really means.
Really?
Yeah, because I think it's a story about trust and betrayal, about a woman who loved the world enough to travel through it alone, which I cannot fathom, but that she seems like such a free spirit.
Yeah.
And she had a mother who loved her daughter enough to never stop looking. And about a killer who understood that the best disguise is not a mask, it's a smartphone and a friendly smile. And I can feel for her mother because I can only imagine the panic that you feel once you realize that this man is calling you and talking to you, and he is the one who killed your daughter. Not
Killed
even
your
about
daughter.
him, but at that, your daughter is dead and you can't get to her. You don't know where she is. I cannot imagine the strength that it took to continue to talk to him. I mean, wow.
Right, right. Wow. And Esther, Estepa Perez did not die quietly. Did I do that? That's the right part? Yeah. She did not die quietly. She scratched his DNA into her own skin. She made sure that even if he buried her in a field, he could not bury the truth. And her mother, Peppa, she made sure someone listened.
Jose Gerardo Montia killed at least 6 people that we know of. He might have killed more, like we were saying. He used TikTok to hide in plain sight, to lure the trusting, to document his own evil, and in the end, the same platform that made him famous helped destroy him.
But the questions remain. How many other Montias are out there? How many convicted killers have rebranded themselves as influencers? How many solo travelers, especially women, scroll past a friendly face on social media and think he seems safe or, ooh, he's cute?
The European Court of Human Rights overturned the parrot doctrine that kept Montia in prison. He walked free and he killed again, and that decision, however legally justified, cost Esther Estepa her life.
Hector Muniente said he did not set out to make a standard true crime documentary. He wanted to explore how a killer could hide in the digital age, how social media does not just connect us, it can camouflage monsters.
Esther's story is a warning, but it is also a testament to a mother's love, to a daughter's fight, and to the truth that no matter how carefully a killer covers his tracks, he cannot erase everything. Not the DNA under the victim's nails, not a mother's refusal to forget, and not the digital breadcrumbs he leaves behind, thinking they are just content.
This has been Coffee and Crime with Mom. I'm Zayla.
And I'm Nicole. Stay caffeinated, stay curious, and maybe, just maybe, think twice before you trust that friendly travel blogger with the grandfather. With the
See you next time, co conspirators.
Bye, guys.